All right, guys, here we are. As promised, this is the fourth and final September 2018 Lean Online coaching video. And again, thank you guys all so much for participating. It was a great group, fantastic activity, wonderful questions, and seemed like really good engagement for the specific topics and fantastic practical application questions, including this last batch. So I had quite a few, so I will move through them as quickly as possible. Please feel free to DM me if you have any additional questions. And I'll be sending something a little bit later tonight or tomorrow, just a little follow-up thing to kind of just give you some additional tips and suggestions and just reminders. It'll all be on one sheet and you can put it on the refrigerator or on your computer, wherever it's helpful. Okay, so first question. Tapering, working out at night. So one of you had an issue with working out at night and that making it more difficult to taper. That's perfectly reasonable. You definitely want to make sure that you have that your post-workout meal is adequate in terms of calories, carbohydrates, and volume in total, so that you feel satiated and you've replenish the nutrients that your body needs after the workout. So I would say be less concerned, if you do work out at night, be less concerned about trying to create a definitive taper in the last third of the day versus the first third of the day. Maybe just try to level out so that your last third of the day isn't much more consumption than the first third of the day. But everything is relative. So if you're working out at night, of course, you're going to need more food than somebody who doesn't work out at night. So don't worry too much about that. I just say try to keep it as clean as possible, and that's just following the chalice. And also don't scrimp on fat with your protein source. Still want to have water or tea before, and then make veggies the main component. But with your protein, or maybe just the prep method, if it's like a stir fry or something like that, make sure when the focus. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Just make sure that you're getting a little bit of dietary fat, whether it's cooking with olive oil or adding nuts, seeds, or cheese, something like that to dinner. Not a ton, but just a little bit, so that it helps to keep you satisfied. And you don't need to eat quite as much. Also, if you go a long stretch between your workout and actually eating, have an apple or maybe another piece of fruit or a little vegetable juice to take the edge off your blood sugar, so that you're not voracious by the time the food hits, especially if you're going to have a low glycemic index meal like salad and protein. Okay, ideas for protein and veggies, more ideas. So we advanced a lot, but one of the first, actually the very first, I think the first exercise I asked you guys to do, or task that I asked of the program, was for you to make up a list of vegetable options that you enjoy and prep methods, and also a list of vegetables that you don't mind eating, and finally vegetables you're willing to try. And a few of you did that, but most of you did not. So I strongly suggest you do that, and then you'll have kind of a hit list that you can operate from. And if you go through, especially the first week, and then if you look at the items that people posted, you'll get a lot of other ideas. I'm big on different types of soups and different salads, but mostly I eat raw vegetables. I like stir fries. I love roasted vegetables. But I try to get a variety of vegetables and prep methods, and I'm happy to give you more suggestions. If you go back and look through the postings, you'll see a ton of different ideas for vegetables. And then sometimes I just zap frozen mixed vegetables in the microwave and with a little bit of butter. And then I also like the chili lime almonds and cashews from Trader Joe's, and I'll throw those on top. So that's just something I'll make on the fly. But please let me know if among all those you don't have some inspiration. But go back and look through the program, because a lot of people posted a lot of different vegetable options. and consider some of those. Okay. And then also, like I said, make up your list, and that will help. And ask others for friends and family members for some suggestions. There might be just some that you've forgotten about that you would be willing to try or do like and just don't think about. Okay. Meal prep programs. I had a question about that. If you gave me that question, I'm not sure if you're talking about like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or something like that. If you're just talking about methods, I know a lot of people do very well with planning their meals out in advance, putting them in containers, that sort of thing. I'm not really that. I'm not really that disciplined and organized to do that, but I know that it does work for a lot of people. I have staples. I have staples at home, staples that I can get out at different places, and then I plan a couple to a few meals per week. But between all that, I have it covered. If you go through again, especially the things that I posted, you'll see what I like from different cuisines. If I'm going out for Thai or maybe I didn't do Mexican. I like ceviche and tortilla soup and fish tacos, things like that from Mexican restaurants. Even Italian, I like minestrone, and I think I did a lot of Asian restaurants like Thai and Japanese and Chinese. Maybe I didn't do Chinese. Anyway, but I don't eat out all that much. So the staples I have at home, some of the frozen entrees that I get from Trader Joe's, I posted about all those. I think a lot of the answers to your questions, if you guys go back and look at the content that I posted at least, and especially the meals, you'll see what some of my favorites are. But the idea is to find a rhythm that works for you. So if you're relying mostly on vegetables, raw vegetables like me, or soups, especially now it's becoming soup weather, lean towards that. And I would say, and this kind of answers a question that comes a little bit further for someone who's looking for more ideas and who is a single person. When I prepped vegetables, like I said, I would do roasted vegetables, and usually I couldn't eat a whole pan of roasted vegetables, so I would have at least two servings of roasted vegetables. So I would do that for 2 meals. I'd make beef stews, bean soup, split pea soup, all in the crock pot, along with my chicken dish. So I would make things that were way too much for me at a single serving, or even more than I could possibly eat in a week, and intentionally freeze half to 2/3, and then maybe even a couple of different containers. And then so you can kind of build up an inventory of cooked foods that you have extras of in the freezer. And that really helps a lot. But I don't personally for me, I don't need a ton of variety, but to have at least, I don't know, 8 to 12 different options of things that I cook or I have handy. That really does it for me. That's enough variety. So you want to weigh variety and ease of prep, because you need to find the sweet spot in that. Okay, somebody asked for looking for motivation for lunch, for eating healthy food at lunch. So I would say one of the things you can do is try to make it a social meal. Meet with people, people that you work with, or people that are nearby, or that you can kind of drive halfway and meet with. So that's something that you're looking forward to, and make a decision to eat somewhere that has healthy food and dishes that you don't normally get to enjoy, or that you don't usually get when you go out for dinner, and just make that kind of your lunch spot, and that'll make it more interesting, exciting, attractive to you. And just plan on taking part of the food home, because most restaurants serve way more than any person between 120 to 200 pounds, more than that person usually needs in an entree. And so don't feel the need to eat all of it, especially if it'll reheat well, and then you get an extra meal out of it. That makes sense, hopefully. So try to notice when you're making food a reward, and ask yourself if you really want to do that, if that makes sense, if that's helpful to you, and what your overall goals are. Because if you don't feel that 100%, I feel totally great, no problem, with making food a reward, then then there's a little undercurrent of guilt that creates this vicious cycle of guilt reward um, with the same ammunition. So it's worth taking a look at, and enjoy your food, and seek pleasure in your food, but try not to make it, oh, I'm just having this because it's a reward, and this is my only way to reward myself in the middle of the day, or whenever that is. So give that some thought. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, okay, I covered that. More ideas. Favorites are getting boring. I think I talked about that a little bit. I don't have a super broad variety of foods that I eat on a regular basis. But as I mentioned, home, the grab and go supermarket, coffee place, little delis. I have different things that I like to get at different places that I know are healthy, and so I try to not get in the same rut of doing the same things. And it might be helpful even to write up a list. What do I eat at Pete's? What do I eat if I'm going to Whole Foods, the prep section? What do I eat if I'm going to a sandwich place or a particular place? That will make it more exciting, more interesting, more inviting to you, and you kind of already have it staked out. Okay. One lean onliner. This renewed. This is great. Renewed her commitment to eating better, and this is somebody who has done the program a few times and is a great example, and was in this group as well. A great example of inspiration, and a better cook by far than me. And I loved everything that she posted. So thank you for posting that, for DMing me about that. And I think one of the reason, and this speaks to the next thing, which was again discipline. Another person mentioned discipline. Part of the reason that you're doing better, if you're participating, or you did better while you're participating in the program, is you are in a community, a supportive community of like-minded peers, and we collectively raise the stakes, and we all invest more deeply because we care about each other, and we care that each other is successful, and that makes us gets us more invested in our own success. So think about touching base with somebody, maybe somebody from the program, or even with me, and just let me know, hey, after the program is over, it's fine. Hey, my motivation is kind of flagging. I'm thinking about, just kind of blowing this off. I don't, it's too much work. I'm getting tired of worrying about this all the time. We're here for each other, even though the program is concluding. It's good to have somebody in your life, whether it's official and structured or not, who supports your objectives and is sharing some of the same types of behaviors, even if they're not eating exactly the same. Sorry, my throat is very dry. Okay. So, not enough fruit. One person said they didn't have enough fruit, or maybe there's just not that much fruit that they're jazzed about. I have staples. Again, staples. My favorite apples is Honeycrisp apple, but I like Granny Smith apples and Fuji's. I like apples, tangerines, or oranges, but tangerines I tend to have better luck with the consistency of how good they are. And bananas as my kind of go-tos because they're available all the time. But I like berries. I like grapes a whole lot. I like raisins on granola and in oatmeal. Excuse me. I do like seasonal fruits like nectarines and plums and peaches and stuff like that. I like cantaloupes, honeydew, although I don't eat those very often. So again, getting more variety. If you're going to have a cantaloupe or a honeydew or something like that, you're going to have to eat it, or you and the people you live with are going to have to eat it in that week. But it might be nice to do that once a month or so, if it's not something you normally do, just to change the taste and the texture and remind yourself that that's good in a different way. It's enjoyable in a different way. But I would definitely work a little variety in there, and also build it around the staples, and that can be helpful. Somebody said something about not being hungry in the morning, and I know that is a very common issue, whether you ate or not. So you have coffee instead. The problem with having coffee, guys, especially caffeinated coffee, is that the water in your stomach makes your stomach feel full, as though it had food in it, and then the caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, slightly stimulates your nervous system. So that's a little bit like raising your blood sugar from food. So it's actually masquerading as food, and then you get busy with whatever you're doing. So if you are going on with your day and you go a few to several hours only on the coffee, you are slowing your metabolism, and you're training your body to consume some protein and muscle tissue. If you don't, especially don't have a whole lot of fat on your body, but even if you do, your body will become more calorie efficient and tend to store more fat. So it's not a good habit you want to get into. So, and think about it, you don't have to have a big snack or a meal. Just have a few bites of something, maybe a hard-boiled egg, maybe a handful of grapes or something like that, within a few hours of getting up, and that will trigger a blood sugar stabilization cycle that requires regular small amounts of food. And that's a good habit to get into. It doesn't have to be small amounts, but the bigger your meals are, the longer you're going to be able to go without eating, and the easier it's going to be to forget about eating when you actually should be eating. So have a little something before the coffee, or even just a little bit of milk or soy milk in the coffee, just so you get some calories and a little bit of protein and fat. So that can be helpful. Okay, somebody said, okay, your youngest child is not getting enough protein, but she likes red meat and hard-boiled eggs. That's a really good start. You might want to add like an RX bar, maybe just half of one, or there's some like Luna bars or Balance bars that are, I think, like between 10 and 15 grams of protein, 8 and 15 grams of protein. So just for a little bit of variety, but that's a good start. There's nothing wrong with that. Nuts and seeds you can add to it, and those are good sources of primarily fat, heart healthy fat, fiber, but some protein as well. So that's fine if she doesn't like a broad variety, but try to introduce maybe some of those other things. And I don't know if smoothie works or yogurt, but maybe cottage cheese with fruit on it. Those are all good ideas as well. Okay, finally, one lean onliner said that her biggest challenge is just to make this the number one priority, and she's a really good practitioner of this stuff, and thinks she's just trying to be consistently committed to it. Hey, we're human. Your commitment and discipline will fluctuate over time, but I would say do notice how your body feels differently when you don't get enough sleep, when you don't get enough water, when you're not reducing stress with exercise, fun physical activities, meditation, something like that, and notice how differently you feel when you are not keeping your blood sugar stable by eating nourishing foods. It's a different feeling when you're not pretty much on point with all those things. You're gonna feel a whole lot better. So notice when you're not doing those things, any of those, and then you correct it. Notice it. Notice how you feel better. That will reinforce your commitment, and it'll create an association with the positive behavior. Okay, that's all I can think of. Sorry I ran so long, but you had a bunch of great questions. I hope I addressed them all. Once again, I really appreciate you being part of this. I am going to run the program again in January. My deepest appreciation and gratitude if you would, when you see it promoted, or even if you just go to the link, it's called the Healthy Eating. It's the Healthy Eating tab on the Tri-Valley Trainer website. January 7th, I think. I would really appreciate your support and your helping to promote you got anything out of the program, you posting the link in your Facebook page and saying something about how it was helpful to you and how it continues to be helpful to you. And I would like to continue to be helpful to you as well. So 20 minutes. Love you guys. Thanks very much. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.